Menopause, it's a natural part of aging for women, and for some, a welcome change. And for others, it marks the end of being able to have children. Now, regardless of how you look at it, which way you slice it, it impacts women with unpredictable hot flashes, irritability, insomnia, and even a racing heart rate. There are 3 stages, okay? So here they are. Perimenopause, where symptoms can start on average at the age of 51, but some women can begin the transition in their mid-40s. Menopause symptoms can last for up to 10 years, but the average length is less than 5 years. Now, you have officially reached post-menopause if you've gone 12 months without your cycle. Hot flashes make it better, but some people have symptoms for another 10 years. So Dr. Jane Morgan, one of our Healthy Morning contributors, joins us now with some of the risks, relationships, and why doctors aren't prescribing hormone replacement therapy in order to treat it. As always, welcome to the show. I feel like us women, we cannot get a break. 10 years? Sorry, no, that is a long time. But let's start with that, with the hormone replacement therapy. Why aren't doctors using it for that?
So 20 years ago, there was something called the Women's Health Initiative. Huge study, thousands of women enrolled. And in fact, that study started 30 years ago, ended more than 20 years ago. And the results of that study demonstrated that there was an increased risk of breast cancer for women who take hormones. But when we take a look at that study now, we see that the interpretation was flawed. Many of those women were much older beyond menopause, and yet we're extrapolating it to this menopausal demographic. And when we look at those who only were taking estrogen versus estrogen and progesterone in this trial, we actually see that there is a decreased risk of breast cancer. So we're starting to unravel that and go back. But because of that, we actually stopped as physicians training on hormone replacement therapy. It was an absolute no-no. No one was to give it. And so therefore, it's not part of the conversation anymore, and doctors don't prescribe it.
So do you think it should be now that we're starting to get a little bit more information out of that?
Absolutely. As we are digging deeper and deeper into this, we can see all of the benefits of estrogen, including its anti-inflammatory properties. And we now understand that heart disease is related to inflammatory processes in your body. It's one of the reasons why before menopause, women's heart disease rate is much lower than men. But then after menopause, your rate of heart disease equals that of men. It is because of this decrease in estrogen in our bodies and the anti-inflammatory properties of estrogen. But estrogen also protects us from developing this visceral fat, this fat around our midsection. And we know now that that fat is not only sort of that lump, that spare tire, but inside, it also, there's fat around our organs as well. And so we know that that is a problem. We have type 2 diabetes, it increases lipids. So this is called this metabolic syndrome, which again is an inflammatory process in our body that increases the atherosclerosis or the hardening of our arteries and heart attacks.
Oh man, scary stuff. So who is at more risk of longer, more intense symptoms?
And so when we look at minority populations, it's really Black women who have longer symptoms, more intense symptoms, and suffer more. And we also now can see and understand the correlation of the intensity of symptoms with heart disease. We're able to start to draw that line. And so these symptoms are not something to be ignored. We need to be able to treat them and control them, not only for someone to feel comfortable, and there's nothing wrong with feeling comfortable, but also we know that estrogen has long-term effects on the heart and maybe even Alzheimer's disease as well. And there's always this critical window, what we call a critical window for when you need to start hormone therapy. And generally it is before you are 60 years of age, or at least within 10 years of your last menstrual cycle. There's that critical window. Beyond that, estrogen doesn't seem to provide any benefit. You have to start it before the cardiovascular process advances and gets underway.
Wow, all right, good to know. Dr. Morgan.